Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Money Talks. I should say good morning from California. Bright and sunny. 106 yesterday. So, lest you think we're not coming in hot on Money Talks, it is really hot. All right. So, enough of the humor. We got a lot to talk about today. Let's see. I've already seen a few support questions on the live chat. We're going to try to have some support people in there to help you. Let's see, a couple of things. One, first of all, download Abra if you haven't already. That'll help you follow along. I'm going to be doing some app demos, talking about some new features. So put Abra on your phone, that'll help. Click the subscribe button if you're on YouTube, or we're actually broadcasting on LinkedIn, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch. It's pretty cool. We're broadening our horizon, so we reach tens of thousands of people a week minimum now. Some weeks more than that. It's fantastic. So click the subscribe button. It helps promote the show and get the word out and creates placement in there. Just checking my notes here. So a couple other things I want to talk about before we get into some other stuff. Zero interest loans. This is an industry first we announced last week. Should be live sometime right around, maybe around this time next week, or a little bit before that. Just look in the app and we'll probably send out push messages and email to confirm that. What is a zero interest loan? So if you're using the Abra app and you use Abra Borrow, which is available in most places now, still waiting on California where I live, but it's coming soon, you'll be able to apply for a loan against your crypto holdings. Pretty cool. Now when you do that, and I'll show you how that works. You click on Borrow at the bottom right, and you basically apply for a loan. You choose the coin that you want to use. I apologize if the screen's a little small, but I've got another demo I'll do later. And you can apply for the loan amount, and you choose what's called a loan to value ratio. The loan to value ratio basically determines how much collateral you're going to give to Abra for the loan, okay? Right now you see that there's 20% loan to value, 33 and 50%. We're launching a 10% loan to value, which will have a 0% interest. So if you're holding a whole bunch of Bitcoin and you're gonna hold it anyway, and you wanna borrow against it so that you don't have to sell it for reasons we've discussed in the past. You want to pay for college, you want to buy a car, you want to get a house, you want to go on vacation, and you don't want to sell your crypto. This is a really awesome way to do it, and you can pay it back later. Actually, you can just basically delay paying back because there's no interest, and then even decide potentially to roll it over later. So it's a really great option for those of you interested in borrowing against your crypto holdings. I've never seen anything like it. The team has worked really hard on it. Okay. Item number 2 in our awesome Abra updates. Trade and win $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. This is a giveaway we're doing to thank you, all of you, for the awesome support you've shown us this year. The company has been growing by leaps and bounds. The last month, May, was amazing. And so for every dollar you trade, doesn't matter how you do it, I'll go back to the app again. Anytime you use the exchange feature here at the top and you exchange between anything, dollars and Bitcoin, Bitcoin and dollars, 2 different stable coins, Ethereum back to dollars, Ethereum to Bitcoin, altcoins, it doesn't matter. For every single dollar worth of trades you do, you will get another entry into our giveaway, okay? And at the end of the month, we will pick a lucky winner who will get $100,000 worth of Bitcoin. Awesome. So super excited about that. If you're not clear, then ask a question in the support in the live chat here, and we'll try to get to it. Okay. So again, we do have support folks in the chat. If you have a very specific support question regarding your wallet, we won't be able to answer live, obviously, but you can send an email to support@abra.com. We have dramatically increased the size of our support team. We have been inundated with support requests the last few weeks, and I apologize for that, but we will get to you, I promise, in the coming hours and in the next day or so if you reach out today, okay? And Let's see. Another issue that I've been hearing about is scams. Let me talk about this right now because I think all of you need to protect yourself. We've had a lot of people pretending to be me on Facebook and Instagram. If you don't see a blue check mark next to my name, it's not me. Okay, I'm verified on Facebook and Instagram. There are a lot of people pretending to be me that are asking you for Bitcoin. That's the second thing. We will never reach out to you on social media ever as Abra or myself asking you to send us Bitcoin or money. We just won't do it, okay? Everything that you do in terms of moving money around with Abra happens 100% inside the Abra app, okay? There's no other place where you would interact with Abra unless you're like an institutional partner or something, okay? So please keep that in mind. Be vigilant. If people are asking you for crypto in a social media app or in a messenger that you don't know or look like me or are pretending to be me, please report them immediately, okay? Protect yourself. All right. So the other thing is we have a new email format. At the bottom of every email that you get from Abra now, we're actually showing you our current earn rates on Abra Earn and borrow rates. So it's pretty cool. You can actually, every email you just scroll down. It's kind of a really cool way to keep up to date on what's going on with Abra's rates. And you'll find that in most emails now at the bottom of the email. Really great new formats on the email as well. Congrats to the marketing team at Abra. They're doing a great job. So I got a few things that I want to talk to you about this morning. We want to talk about inflation. A lot of news this week, a lot of like talking heads pontificating about inflation. What does it mean? I've got my notes here. My reading of the tea leaves says we are really oversold right now. And I'll give you my perspective on why and what I think is going to happen. That doesn't mean we can't come down a little bit more. But I'm pretty bullish right now, and I try to call it like I see it. When I see it bearish, I call it bearish. And right now, I feel like we're in this sideways reaccumulation phase. And you've heard me use this accumulation phrase a few times over the last few months, but it's definitely happening now. And my reading of the mystical crypto tea leaves tells me we're gearing up to go higher again. So I'll get into that. El Salvador, wow. Huge news out of El Salvador related to crypto. Also really interested to see what happens next. And I'll talk about that. Obviously, we'll do our AMA and some demos. And so let me get into this. Let me start with inflation, right? And then we'll get into this oversold narrative. So as it relates to inflation, so let's start with the Fed, right? This week, the Federal Reserve held their kind of typical press conference. There was some acknowledgement of the rising cost of goods during the chairman's press conference, but basically they changed nothing. And this was really astounding to me. On the one hand, it's astounding, but on the other hand, if you know their playbook, you're like, okay, well, they really don't have a lot on the shelf that they can bring to bear here. But they did say that they have a plan to maybe increase interest rates slightly earlier than they were originally expecting. But let's put this in context. That means that they would raise interest rates in 2023 rather than 2024. Now, given what's happened in the last year and where we are as an economy, so much can happen in the next 2 years that it blows my mind that they would actually say that, right? So I would not be making any bets on any kind of prudent fiscal policy out of the U.S. Federal Reserve anytime soon, right? But more importantly, in the short term, there was simply no changes to current monetary policy. Interest rates remain at near zero, right? Any kind of stimulus is going to continue, right? Market support programs, buying of assets. The Fed's balance sheet is in, I think it's in the 8 trillion range, right? Earlier in the week, before the Fed announcement, Paul Tudor Jones made comments about how shocked he was about how the Fed was completely nonchalant about inflation. And this was a totally weak response from any sane trader's perspective, right? So our take is that the Fed is basically lost, right? So what they should be saying is inflation is higher than expected, and here's what we're going to do about it, right? But what they're saying is, hey, we may do something about it in 2 years. Between now and then, good luck. Look, I think that in the short term, it looked like the stimulus was the right thing to do during COVID. It's going to turn out really bad, right? I think that the inflation that we're going to see in the economy is going to prove that the way the stimulus was done actually did more harm to the economy than good, right? We're seeing basically companies unable to find workers. We're seeing people sitting on the sidelines because of stimulus checks and other, fear of COVID, not just stimulus checks, but there's still some fear. But the bottom line is the economy seems to be coming roaring back, and probably too much because of all of the extra money. Literally trillions of dollars of assets, right, are sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what one man has to say in a press conference, right? And a friend of mine made the comment in his newsletter that this is completely absurd. It's an antiquated model. It makes no sense, right? So relating this back to Bitcoin, the person who I thought really laid this out the best was Paul Tudor Jones, who's considered by many one of the best traders in history, right? The man is simply an animal when it comes to trading, and his ability to generate profits is astounding. Okay, so what Paul Tudor Jones basically said is that Bitcoin, while on the one hand, let me start over. He explicitly said that one of the aspects of Bitcoin that convinced him to invest in Bitcoin is its certainty, right? Meaning we know exactly how Bitcoin works. We know exactly what its monetary policy is going to be today, tomorrow, 5 years, et cetera, et cetera. And we can verify it mathematically, we can verify it in software, we can verify it in code. Now, we also know what its future monetary policy decisions are going to be. It's pre-programmed. It's that simple. So unlike the Fed's policy, where humans are basically making mistakes, they can artificially interfere, they can play politics, they can be influenced by a president who doesn't like the Fed, who puts fear into them. The programmatic policy of Bitcoin is immune to all of this nonsense. Right? That is a really powerful narrative. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that Bitcoin is the perfect hedge against inflation, but it certainly is the perfect response, or the best response I've ever seen to flawed monetary policy. Right? I did an online talk with Michael Saylor of MicroStrategy last week, and he refers to this apex property of money, right? The first digital sound monetary policy we've ever had as a society. Okay? If the inflation narrative doesn't make this idea clear, then you're not paying enough attention. You need to dig in, right? Go read Saifedean Ammous's book on the Bitcoin standard. Go watch some of our earlier episodes of Money Talks, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay? All right. So, again, astounding to me that the Fed is going to keep simply adding to its balance sheet. So expect more stock gains, more Bitcoin gains, more risk on asset gains. It's going to basically create a vicious cycle. I believe it's going to cause inflation to go even higher, and it's ultimately going to look like the late 1970s again. I don't want that to happen, but that's my current prediction based upon what I'm seeing of what is likely to happen. Okay? All right. So let's see. And by the way, I mentioned Paul Tudor Jones. I talk to well-known people in finance all the time, right? And the number of people who have been converted into believing that Bitcoin and the Ethereum model and crypto is here to stay is astounding. And obviously the US government is not there, right? Listening to Elizabeth Warren pontificate inaccurately about energy usage, and we'll come to that in a moment when we talk about El Salvador, is very worrisome to me. I also listened in on a Twitter Spaces. It's like their version of where you basically have the audio channel. I forget the name of the app that we were all using a few weeks ago. Geez, I've already forgotten it. Clubhouse. It's like their version of Clubhouse. And so Michael Saylor started this group with a bunch of other miners to address this, the FUD and some of the concerns that the governments have started to raise around the idea of Bitcoin being a dirty technology because of the amount of energy it's using, and addressing some of the inaccuracies, the complete inaccuracies in the FUD. It was fascinating. I'm a little concerned about having any semblance of centralized governance as it relates to Bitcoin, but it seems like they're doing this the right way. They're not really claiming to be any form of governance. They're just basically out there showing the data, right, and trying to basically create some facts. Okay, so that is inflation. Now, as I said, I believe that we're in this kind of oversold scenario right now. All right, now let me give you a short-term, mid-term, and long-term perspective on what I think oversold means. All right, let's see. So in the short term, now I said a few weeks ago, I said we may be short-term bearish. Okay, I've actually changed my perspective on this. I think that if you look at what's happening, and Willie Woo, I don't know if you follow Willie on Twitter, he's one of the best at analyzing these signals. If you look at the short-term on-chain indicators, I actually see them now as more neutral to bullish. All right. Now, this is more or less where I was at last week, and there's certain signals that I look at that basically tell me that we're really oversold. Right. That means that the amount of kind of short-term investment money is highly out of the market. The exchange flows right now are basically a net outflow, meaning when you start to see crypto leaving on a net basis the exchanges, you can't sell it for the most part, and that's bullish. Okay, that's a lot of new money leaving exchanges. Maybe it's coming to Abra to earn interest, maybe it's going to hardware wallets. Wherever it's going, it's not staying on the exchanges. So that net movement off of exchanges is very bullish. Okay, now we're not quite there yet. We've just turned net positive on a short-term basis. So I think what this tells me is I would not be surprised if we went sideways. Sideways could be anywhere from where we're at now. I think we fell like another 4% today, but we're still in that trading band. Those of you who say we're tanking, go back and look at the last month's daily chart, which I'll show you. Actually, let me bring it up right now. And basically, you'll see that we're going sideways, right? So if you look here at the bottom of the screen, you see that basically from May 19th until today, June 18th, effectively an entire month, we've more or less gone sideways, okay? And I think we've got, maybe another week to, at the most 2 weeks of that. And then I think if we get a push upwards and break through 42K, which seems to be that psychological resistance, then I think it's it's full steam ahead. Now, in the midterm, this is also where I think Willie gets it right. I think it's simply a question of how quickly in the coming months that the recovery is going to be, right? So we're seeing confirmation that the underlying structure looks more like the COVID, what he called the white swan recovery, right? So if you remember in March, right, we had a huge spike downwards in the Bitcoin price, and then it was just a quick march upward over about a 2 month and let's call it a 6 to 10 week period, right? So it looks like Bitcoin is gearing up for a similar recovery now, which would basically put us, back to a 55 to 65K range, right? Sometime over the next kind of 6 to 10 weeks. I'll call it 10 weeks, which would put us at, let's say, July, August, let's say early, like September timeframe. Now that's behind the stock to flow model, where we said, hey, we could actually see 100K, in the August, September timeframe. But, right, it's kind of reconverging at that point with stock to flow. So, Matt, the long-term thesis for me is still exactly where it was in January, February, March. We are in a macro bull trend. that trend is still intact. User growth continues. The key ratios that we look at that point to investor activity are all bullish, right? Long-term holders continue to buy the dips, and there's no sign of the long-term structure of the market actually changing. Okay, so that's pretty cool for those of you who are unclear. And again, I come on here and I give you my perspective, right? I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money. I know I say this every week. These are my opinions. Integrate them into your own investment thesis. If it's too stressful, take money off the table, especially if you're in since last September. And if you're like me and you're in it for the long term, you don't have to look at the charts every day. You can come on Money Talks, listen to a macro perspective if you're interested. There are a bunch of really great newsletters you can read that give you kind of a daily or weekly macro perspective, and you don't need to sweat all this, okay? But again, I'm here to just give you my perspective on what I'm seeing. Okay, so I want to talk about El Salvador, and then we'll get into some Abra app questions. I see we are getting a bunch of questions here in the live chat. Keep them coming. Give me a minute. I'm almost there. So let's talk about El Salvador now. All right, super interesting what's going on. All right. So you probably heard that the president of El Salvador basically did like an AMA, not an AMA, but basically went on Twitter Spaces and did a talk with Peter McCormick and some other people where he basically talked about why El Salvador is so bullish. It was absolutely fascinating to listen to. Okay, so. Then on last Tuesday, they made history when they literally became the first country in the world to recognize any cryptocurrency, in this case Bitcoin, as legal tender. It was it was astounding. For me, as somebody who's been looking at this world since the 1990s, right? I remember when DigiCash was a thing. To see this today in 2021, you can't help but get emotional, and it's hard, it's technology, right? It's software, but this is also people's lives. If you actually watch what's going on in El Salvador and how they're trying to use Bitcoin, and as somebody who spent a lot of time in these markets in Haiti and Guatemala and the Philippines and in rural economies of southern Mexico, it's truly astounding what people on the ground are doing there. So. Now, the other thing that was interesting is that the speed at which this happened, right? It was literally 3 days from the President Bukele announcing his plans at the Miami conference, right? This was a Saturday, to the Tuesday when the legislation voted on and approved this in the country's legislative assembly. It was simply astounding, and they had a supermajority of the vote. In case you're not clear, it was 62 to 22, and that means that it will be fully enacted within 90 days of the vote. Now, this is completely unprecedented. Nothing like this has ever happened. But it's not entirely surprising if you think about the relationship between many countries in Latin America are developing with crypto and what it could potentially be used for, right? So now, obviously, there's always going to be the concerns about unregulated economies. But in Latin America, at least, we're starting to see Bitcoin and other cryptos and stable coins not only being used by the ultra rich, but actually people at what we would call the bottom of the income pyramid, right? So crypto is actually becoming a real lifeline for a lot of people. And it's astounding. As somebody who used to work on remittances in Haiti after the earthquake and developing markets, it's fun to watch, okay? But, it's the only country that's taken the plunge so far. But I actually foresee some other countries starting to make the plunge as well. Let's talk about that for a second. So one really interesting comment in this Twitter Spaces thing I saw was somebody asked, Will El Salvador get into the mining business? Well, it turns out that El Salvador has active volcanoes, and it turns out active volcanoes generate a lot of heat, and it also turns out that heat can be converted to electricity. So some enterprising person had the idea, why aren't we basically using volcanic energy to mine Bitcoin? So literally within hours, the president had set up a task force to try to figure this out. Now, this relates to my perspective on what we're going to start seeing in other countries. So following the vote in the assembly, some politicians in Argentina, Paraguay, Brazil, Panama, all took to social media to endorse this decision. Now, in my opinion, it looks like Paraguay is going to be the country that follows El Salvador's example. Now, what's really interesting about Paraguay is not just the similarities in how they might embrace Bitcoin and potentially stablecoins, but their access to hydroelectric power, right? My understanding is Paraguay is sitting on one of the largest untapped energy sources in the world with this massive dam that they have there that, again, goes effectively unused. That would give Paraguay an enormous leg up and benefit should they decide to get into Bitcoin mining. And unless something changes, especially given this narrative around clean energy, I fully expect to see countries like Paraguay start to get into the mining game. The other announcement that I thought was really interesting was, I think it was the mayor of Miami that came out and said, I think we should be looking at small nuclear power stations in all this extra land that we have in Florida to be looking at Bitcoin mining. And this is something that I've been talking about for over a year now. We have this next-gen nuclear technology effectively sitting on the shelf. It's perfectly safe. People hear the word nuclear, they start to lose their shit. But the reality is this new nuclear technology is perfectly safe. And I think that Bitcoin could be, and proof of work mining could be, one of the keys to ushering in a new era of clean, safe nuclear energy. So we'll see what happens. That would be like a dream for me, because I've been a proponent of this for 10 years. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited about it. Okay, so thanks for listening to the talking points. Let me get into some of your questions. Let's see. So one question was, is there an update on XRP? What's happening with the SEC case? Is it likely that Abra or others will be relisting XRP in the US? So to be clear, XRP is still available in Abra outside the US. So I see here William has a question on it as well. So William, I assume from your question you're based in the US. So no word yet from our custody partners as to when we'll be able to relist XRP. I hope it's soon. As I've said in past episodes, my gut tells me that that there'll be a settlement with the SEC, and given it's been a ridiculous amount of time since all this started, and I think it's going to be very difficult for the SEC to win a case here, and they're going to end up settling. That's my gut feeling. And when that happens, I hope that it gets relisted, just like I hope any cryptocurrency that's not a security becomes tradable and accessible to everybody who wants them. Okay. All right. By the way, feel free to identify yourselves. I see people listing the countries they're from in various channels here on Twitter and Facebook and here on the YouTube channel. That's great. I see people from the Philippines. I see people from Guatemala, the US, El Salvador even. Welcome. We're happy to have all of you. All right. So, is the 0% interest loan available in California? Not yet. It's something that I've mentioned many times. I think we're in 42 U.S. states and something like 75 countries now. And California and New York are two of the states we're not in quite yet, but we're working on them. So stay tuned for that. And the lending is already live in the app, to be clear. It's just that the 0% interest will launch sometime next week. And Patrick asks, is Abra going to add two-factor authentication? Technically, we already have two-factor auth because of the way we use Face ID and the PIN code, but we're going to be adding the third factor with some type of in-app authenticator a la Google sometime soon. So stay tuned for that. Something that we get a lot of requests for, so that will be coming. No word yet on exactly when. Yeah, let's see. And so somebody commented, nuclear is the way. Bill Gates himself is pushing for it. Just slowed because of the pandemic. All bills in the world are innovative. Thanks for that. I don't think I'm in Bill Gates' company quite yet, but I appreciate the sentiment. Um, let's see. So lots of questions here. Another one on XRP. I think I just addressed that. And let's see. So if you agree that there will be a lot of inflation coming and the USD is debasing, I'm wondering why your future payment option will be tied to the USDC or TrueUSD rather than the Lightning Network. So Robert, we haven't announced anything related to what our future payment plans will be, but I can assure you that in the future you will be able to do payments using crypto, Bitcoin and Ethereum and stablecoins with Abra. But look, let me be clear: the dollar is not going away, in my opinion. I think the dollar may lose its global reserve status to Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies in the future. But I think that the digital dollar, the digital yuan, the digital euro, and other, maybe 3 or 4 currencies will survive. I do think we're going to see the death of many second tier, probably dozens of second tier currencies over the next 25 years, but the dollar is not going away. It will have its place. It's just that it probably is unlikely to be a reserve currency given how far in value it's going to fall, given the debt situation and the Fed's balance sheet and the fact that the whole petrodollar has collapsed and a bunch of other things which are beyond the scope of the show. Alex says, I've had nothing but an excellent experience with Abra so far, so thank you for that, Alex. Love to read that. And again, some of you have very specific questions about your own wallets. I'm not allowed to answer those here, obviously, for personal reasons, but please send an email to support@abra.com. Yeah. And let's see, a bunch more questions. Really good questions today, as always. Trying to pick. So somebody talked about the time of customer service response. Let me address this again. I talked about it before. Yes, we definitely had some issues in late May and early June with customer service response times. I apologize for that. When we were asking all of you to upgrade your ID information, we were inundated with support requests. We're working very quickly to work through those, and we're mostly there, but some of you are still waiting, and I apologize, but we're getting to them as fast as we can. So you can resend the request if you need to, and it's urgent. Okay. So let's see. Somebody asked if Abra runs an affiliate program. It depends. We do have a few affiliates, not many. We're very choosy about that. If you send an email to business@abra.com, we'll pass it on to the support team and take a look at it and be very specific about the affiliate opportunity. We are going to be getting back to customer referrals later this year. We'll be talking about the referral system in a few weeks. Nothing to talk about right now. And so I'm getting some more questions about, is Abra adding more support staff? Yes, we've actually tripled the size of our support staff in the last few weeks, and we've worked very hard to get them up to speed. Chris asks, are we going to be adding Cardano ADA for staking and interest accounts? It's something that we are trying to get done. No immediate announcement there. As soon as we can get it done, we will definitely announce it. It's something that we would like to do, but no plans to announce today. Let's see. Somebody's asking if Gcash can be a payment method for Filipino users. That's something I think one of our partners actually supports Gcash. Let me see if somebody else from our team in the Philippines can respond in the chat to that, or if they ping me directly. I thought it was there already via one of our partners, not directly in the app. But yeah. So somebody asked. This is a great question, and it's always something that nobody wants to talk about, but it's an important question to ask, and that is, how does inheritance work if I pass away? So that's a great question. So in the Abra app, we're actually going to be adding a beneficiary feature. So you see here in the settings menu, we have change your PIN, your bank accounts, invite to Abra. there's actually going to be a setting in the next few weeks labeled beneficiary. And for those of you who aren't native English speakers, beneficiary refers to, in this case, if you pass away or die, who actually inherits what's in your Abra wallet. And so you'll be able to specify name and contact information for beneficiaries, and you'll actually be able to specify multiple beneficiaries if you want to, or if you have somebody who manages an estate, you can simply specify that contact as well. So that's something that many of us, including myself, have asked for inside the Abra app. So excellent question. And it's something that we spend a little bit of time with our banking partners to make sure that we get it right. But I think we got it right, and it should be launching reasonably soon. Let's see. And Abra is a maverick company. I got to read this one. 6 years and counting, already present in 100 plus countries, active in U.S., Guatemala, Latin America, et cetera, et cetera. And support will grow in the same way Abra grows. So amen to that. Christian says, very grateful for you and everything that the company does. Well, please, we'll pass that on to the whole team. This is definitely a big team effort, bringing Money Talks and everything from the marketing to the video. Let's see. Do you have a min or max loan for residents of Georgia? Yes, so we do. So right now in the app, the maximum loan amount that you can get, I believe, is $100,000. Some states have a slightly lower amount depending upon legal requirements, but when you're in the app and you press borrow and you initiate the loan process, it will show you. If you want to borrow more than $110,000, you send an email to trading@abra.com, and somebody from our lending desk will contact you with details about what you're trying to do, and we may be able to support you with larger loan amounts. We've done loans for people of literally in the millions of dollars. So we can support larger amounts, just not the millions directly from the Abra app. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so again, if you're looking to borrow against your crypto in much larger amounts, then please contact us, and the email for that is trading@abra.com. I'll actually make sure that somebody types that in for borrowing in larger amounts in the chat. Okay, so let's see, what other questions do we have here today? A bunch of questions. Can we apply as a business entity, not as an individual? Yes, you can. We do support businesses. The businesses are not in the app. They're outside of the app. There's a separate application for that. So send an email to trading@abra.com, same email we just published in the chat, Phoenix, and explain that you want to open a business account, and we will get you going there as well. Abra rocks, best wallet by far. Thank you, XRP Minion, for that. Let's see. Triple8 asks, are there any minimum or maximum buying limits for crypto? All right, let me come over here and bring up my app for a second, and I'm going to show you here. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So in terms of exchanging and trading limits, I'm going to click on the exchange button, and I'm going to convert some Bitcoin to cash. All right, so I'm going to click on Bitcoin. I'm going to click on True USD, which is a stable coin. Right, and you can see here. Now, the maximum amount, of course, is the amount that I'm holding, and there's no maximum. If I have millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, I can trade millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. But the minimum is going to be pretty small. It's going to be like a couple of dollars. So if I try to do 0.000001 Bitcoin, it's probably not going to let me, right? I need to do amounts in $5, which is like 0.0001. So there's the answer to your question, okay? So basically $5 is more or less the minimum. And so I'll change this. I'll trade something like $35, right? So if I type 0.001, that's going to give me about $36. I press review. I press confirm. I accept the trade. I've now transacted by exchanging Bitcoin into dollars, and we can see the prices here changing in real time. If I just scroll down, I can see again the prices update inside the app. Pretty cool. Okay. All right, let's see what other questions we have. Are your coins safe and secure to just keep in Abra? or do we need to keep them in another wallet? So Joyce, I only use Abra to manage my personal cryptocurrencies. I don't use any other app. As a matter of fact, I only use Abra Earn. So I have a demo app here that shows a whole bunch of crypto in Abra Earn. So you can see here we pay 4.5% interest right now on Bitcoin and Ethereum, 10.5% interest on dollars. And personally, that's the only thing that I use to manage my crypto. All right. It's very safe. I've talked about the security many times, you know, it's the only way that myself and the team at Abra, the management team, we all manage our crypto and stable coins and dollar deposits in the Abra app through Abra Earn. Okay. Can I? Somebody asked, can I use my Abra wallet internationally? Absolutely. The Abra app is live in like 100 countries. And I travel all the time. I have a second phone also, and sometimes I'll travel with smaller amounts of Bitcoin if I think I'm going to be doing demos and stuff like that. Yeah. And Extra asks, how much is the tax per transaction like during buying and selling coins? So I think by tax you mean, is there a fee or a spread? Yeah, there is a small spread when you exchange from Bitcoin to dollars or dollars to Bitcoin, but it shows you the rate, right? And you can accept the rate or not. So if I'm basically going to convert, let's say I'm going to buy back Bitcoin, right? So I'm going to buy, I have $40 here. I'm going to exchange some $20 into Bitcoin. So I'm going to type 20 here, and it shows me what the exchange rate is and how much Bitcoin I'm actually getting for that, right? So the rate is 37,267. I can either accept that or I can wait for a better rate if I think the price is going down, for example, okay? So I'll accept that. I just did the trade, and there's the Bitcoin now been moved from my dollar wallet to my Bitcoin wallet, okay? Does Abra have a bug bounty program? We don't have a formal bug bounty program, but something I think we should consider. Nobody's ever asked before, actually. I'll talk to the team about that and see what we can do. But look, in the meantime, if you have some concerns about some bugs, please do let us know. It helps everyone, and you know, it's the right thing to do for everyone. Sharita asks, what is the timeline for Abra cards? Well, Sharita, I've never formally announced an Abra card, so obviously there's no public timeline for that. I have said it's something that I would like to do, and it's something we're looking at, and you know, we'll get back to you. So yeah, nothing to announce there today. And Shepard asks, what is the history behind the name Abra? So that's a great question. Let's see. So this goes back many years. I think it's about 6 years ago, and I was trying to start this company, which became Abra, and I wanted a name that worked in 100 countries, was, you know, really short, pithy, easy to remember, worked in every language. I love the idea of a magical connotation. Turns out that the letters ABRA stand for a better remittance app, which is part of the whole payment and banking landscape and ecosystem. So that was an interesting idea, and you know, that's it was a pretty clever way to name a company, and believe it or not, we went through like 50 different names. I mean, I can't even remember them all now, but it was crazy the number of names that we ultimately considered before we got to Abra. So let me make this a little bit smaller here. Okay, so yes, so thanks for that question. A little bit of history and trivia there. Pretty cool. Let's see. Is VeChain on the radar to be listed? Good question. I have no idea. Our custody partners have not told us. We get a lot of requests for it. One thing I'll tell you, this really helps us, okay? And you may think it doesn't, but it does. When you go into the Abra app, excuse me one second. When you go into the Abra app and you click that add button in the top right to add another cryptocurrency, right? You see this list here. Now VeChain is to my knowledge not on the list right now, right? It's not on the list. So let's say you search for VeChain, VeChain, and it's not there. Actually, you're not seeing my screen. So let me. Yeah. Okay. So you are seeing my screen. So Now I can say I can't find what I'm looking for, right? And I can say, type in VChain and request to Abra that they add it to the app. Now, we take those requests very seriously, right? So please send those requests. We do follow them, we do track them, and we talk about them. We talk about them with our exchange partners, with our custody partners, and that helps us, and it also helps them to make informed decisions about what matters to you, okay? So another, Wayne was asking about Theta and Theta Fuel, same thing, right? If you want those cryptos and you don't see them in the app, request them in the app, and it helps us tremendously. Scott asks if can you set up a qualified plan like an IRA? We don't have IRA support yet, except we do support self-directed trusts. So if you have a self-directed trust that you think might qualify, again, send an email to trading@abra.com, and this is a U.S. specific thing, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. Okay. Let's see. Is it possible? Extra asks, is it possible that my account will be frozen if I deposit a large amount of crypto? No, I've never seen that happen with Abra before. So if we have people depositing millions of dollars in stablecoin and Bitcoin to earn interest all the time, I don't recall ever having an account frozen just for transferring large amounts of crypto into Abra. So I'd have to say the answer is no. I wouldn't say never, but I can't for the life of me think of a reason why that would happen, nor do I recall ever seeing it happen. Okay, let's see. Let's see. So I don't understand. Joyce said CAD. Oh, abracadabra. I get it. All right. Thanks for that, Joyce. Sorry. Let's see. What other questions have I missed? Let me scroll up here because I think I missed a bunch from the beginning. Why is ACH not available for my account? So Wayne, a couple of things. Make sure that you have finished the onboarding with your ID. Also make sure you have the latest version of the app. So go to the App Store, very important. Make sure that you download the latest version of Abra. Then go into Add Money. So at the top left of the screen, you see Add Money. Okay. If you don't see Bank ACH Transfer here, okay, the only two reasons could be, well, there's only three reasons. One, you're not in the US. Two, it's possible you're in New York. We don't support New York for ACH for the bit license reasons, which I've talked about in the past. It's something we want to add. It's the only state we don't support. And three, the last reason could be you haven't had your ID approved. And if you have uploaded the ID, but for whatever reason it's not approved, then definitely send an email to support@abra.com, or just go in here and click on Contact Us at the bottom of the screen, okay? And what's really cool now is when you go through this, it actually really helps you by choosing what type of problem you're having. So definitely use the new Contact Us menu inside the app. Do not send an email directly to support@abra.com anymore. Let the app do it for you, okay? Again, I'm gonna go back into the app. I'm gonna click on the menu. At the bottom, I'm gonna click on Contact Us, and I'm gonna use the system here to generate the message for Abra, okay? So please, you'll get a much faster response if you contact Abra that way now with any support issues, okay? So Wayne, hopefully that answers your question about ACH. So let's see, some more questions here. Wow, I can't believe it's been almost an hour already. So some people are asking questions about wire support. We support unlimited amounts. I think this is a big advantage that we have at Abra, all right? Big advantage. There are no limits on wires in Abra. So if I want to add money and I want to do a bank wire transfer, I just clicked on, right? The app is going to give me wire instructions. Now these instructions are my instructions, not yours. So if you use these instructions, you're wiring money to me. So don't use my instructions. Go into your Abra app and use your instructions. But I can wire $1,000. I can wire $1 million. The Abra app has no limits on incoming wires. So that's pretty cool. So let's see here. Yes. So, we do support the equivalent of ACH and bank wires in the Philippines as well. We also support, we have cash networks live in Guatemala now, in the Philippines, in the Middle East, in parts of India, and we're expanding this. We're looking to expand it to more Latin American countries with our partners from Guatemala. They're doing a fantastic job, and so I'm really excited about that. If you need to buy or deposit into the Abra app and you're in a country that is not directly supported in the app, you can do a couple of things. One, you can use a credit card, which is it's a little bit more expensive, but it's a viable fallback option. Just choose credit card, right? And you'll copy this address, right? And then it lets you open up a browser session to buy with a credit card. And obviously there's a safety notice here. And I can paste in that Bitcoin address from the Abra app, and I can now buy very simple Bitcoin with a credit card, okay? And we have lots of you doing this every day. It's very easy to use, easy peasy, okay? Okay, so the other thing is, if you don't want to use a credit card, if you're, let's say you're in Australia or you're in the UK, you can actually go to Abra.com. So I'm going to go to Abra.com here. Right. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see what I'm doing. Right. And from within the Abra app, get out of this, right? There's a buy Bitcoin widget. Now, if you're in the UK or Australia or Mexico or Canada, there's payment-specific features for your country. As a matter of fact, there's payment-specific features here for dozens of countries. So just open up the Abra app, figure out which crypto you want to buy, right? Create a deposit address, super easy, and then just come in here. So let's say I'm in the UK. Actually, I saw somebody from Singapore join before, right? So let's say I'm in Singapore. I've never tried this before, and I can basically choose the Singapore dollar, right? And I choose buy Bitcoin, and it shows me what payment methods are available. So I can actually buy with my bank account, for example, from Singapore. Super cool, okay? And there's, again, dozens of countries. There's cash networks we support in some countries right here through Abra.com. There's Faster Pay in the UK, Spay in Mexico, Interac in Canada. So if you don't see it in the Abra app, you can also go to Abra.com to use it there. Okay, so hopefully that's helpful for those of you who are having trouble buying Bitcoin or making deposits into the Abra app. As a matter of fact, you can also use those features to deposit dollars into the Abra app using your local payment methods in almost every country in the world. Okay, all right. So thank you for those questions. And will we add BNB? I don't think we have any current plans for adding BNB. I'll ask the team. But again, use that feature in the app to request the token, and it'll help us make that request to our custody and trading partner. All right. Is there a way to deposit money into Abra without using Plaid? Absolutely. So Duke, the right way there's two ways to do it. The easiest way is to click on Add Money and do bank wire transfer, and just do a wire directly from your bank into Abra. Okay, no problem. And then also, of course, you can go to Abra.com and use a credit card or other payment methods. But this is by far the safest and cheapest way to do it if you're not comfortable using Plaid. Chris asks, is Abra available in India? Yes, Abra is available. Not only is Abra available in India, but we're starting to test cash networks in India, and you can also buy via credit card, and you can also use Abra.com to have other local payment methods in India, including local RBI-based bank payment methods. So there are different ways that we support the Indian markets, and we're looking at adding more all the time. And Phoenix asks, is there a reason why Abra chose to use TrueUSD for deposits and not other stablecoins? TrueUSD is not as liquid. So Phoenix, yes, there's a reason. It has to do with how our trading system works. However, Abra supports all the major stablecoins. So you can convert from TrueUSD to USDC. We support Tether. But by default, we support TrueUSD. We're going to be adding other default options so that you can choose what you want your deposit to be in the future. No timing to announce on that, but for the vast majority of people, TrueUSD is actually quite liquid. It works fine. If you're going to be withdrawing something like you need USDC, just convert it in the app. So look here. So if I'm going to use, I'll show you how. So I'm going to click on exchange, and I'm going to convert my TrueUSD, and I'm going to convert it to USDC, right? So USD coin, I'll type in $20, and it's like a 35-cent fee for converting $20. Okay, so it's really easy. So if I basically just type in $20.50 or $20.40, I end up with my $20 minus the little fee. Okay, so again, super easy. We allow you to convert between stable coins. I do it myself all the time. It's cheap, easy, and fast. All right. Can you transfer holdings from other wallets or exchanges into Abra? Of course you can. So it's very simple. So you go into the deposit function. Let me make this demo screen a little bit bigger here again. All right, so you see in the top where it says add money. So you click on add money, and underneath it says deposit cryptocurrency. See where it says deposit cryptocurrency? It's the third item down. You click on that. You choose which crypto you want to transfer. So let's say you're using Coinbase, which is very common for Abra users to transfer from Coinbase to Abra because they want to earn interest. So let's say I want to transfer my Bitcoin. Let's say I want to transfer my Ethereum from Coinbase to Abra. So I scroll down here and I click on Ethereum, and I click I agree that this is Ethereum only. Now see where it says copy, right? I click on copy. Now I paste that address into the withdraw function of my Coinbase app or my Coinbase online wallet, and I can now deposit that Ethereum from Coinbase right into Abra. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, right? So you're gonna go to Coinbase, paste the address from Abra that you see here in the app, and then the money is just gonna go right into the Abra app from Coinbase. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Great questions. The questions actually make the time fly by. It's really astounding. If I use Abra to borrow at 0% interest, isn't this just creating an arbitrage opportunity? Borrow from Abra at 0% interest and deposit into TrueUSD interest account, earning 10.5% interest. You're perfectly fine to do that. Now, just remember, you're taking risk on the Bitcoin price, but of course, you're totally fine to borrow against your Bitcoin and put it into the TrueUSD product. It's totally fine for you to do that if that's what you would like to do. We've had people do that already with the existing interest product. Okay, so and then the last question, Leandro asks, is there a web version coming for Abra? And the answer is yes, but just like all features at Abra, we don't pre-announce or give exact times, but I can tell you that it's something that we get a lot of requests for, and at some point we're definitely going to do. Let's see. Oh, okay, so David asks, please explain how we transfer a sale that is converted into TrueUSD back to my bank account. Very simple, very simple. It's the opposite of what I showed you before. So I'm gonna go into my Abra app, see where it says withdraw, right? So at the top of the screen, I'm in Abra Trade, right? At the bottom, I click on Abra Trade. At the top, you see the withdraw button. I click on withdraw. You see where it says ACH, bank wire transfer. I can, if I'm in the US, I can ACH out. In certain other countries, I can also do a local bank transfer. If it's a larger amount, you can also wire out. Click on wire. You type in your bank details, and the TrueUSD will simply be sent to your bank account directly from the Abra app via our bank partner and Trust Token, which manages the TrueUSD. So hopefully that makes sense. We're going to stop there. We're going on 10 a.m. Thank you so much for making this a fun and making the time fly by. Really fun episode. I love it when you have great questions. It gives me a lot of energy, and we're going to promote this out. So please promote this to your friends. I see that we had a few hundred of you on today. That's great. We love it, and it's why we do it. And I'd do it if there was 5 of you, but when there's hundreds and thousands of you across different channels, it's even better. But please tell your friends. They can use the same link to rewatch the show. In the meantime, if you're in California, stay cool. It's crazy hot out today. And we hope to see you next week on Money Talks. Have a great weekend and stay safe. Be well. Take care, everyone.